What is up, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be evaluating and reflecting on the concept of work-life balance. Does it exist? And if so, how can we achieve the optimal work-life balance? And let's look at actually what work-life balance is and what it means. I want to start off this episode by prefacing work-life balance means different things to different people. But what it ultimately comes down to is the understanding that you must have harmony in all areas of your life. To be extreme in any one thing, regardless of if that thing is regarded as positive by society or not, is ultimately at your detriment. You must always achieve harmony in all things. I'm not saying to have a 50% work and 50% life sort of structure. That may not make sense for you. My suggestions are anecdotal. They're based on what works for me, but you may, and your mileage may vary in that case, so adjust accordingly. And one of the stories that I reference is a story in a conversation that I had with my father a couple of years back. I was going to work on a Sunday and he was a little bit astonished. He asked me, shouldn't you consider resting today? Today is a Sunday. Take a moment and take a rest. And this sort of confused me a little bit because my father is most likely one of the most hardworking people I know. He's someone that manages a lot of people, he has a lot of responsibilities on his shoulders, and he's someone who has always been a beacon of hard work in my life. And I noticed, based on his suggestion, that deep down, the value added from actually taking a step back allowed you to take 2 steps forward. And I looked and I put myself in his shoes as someone with experience and as someone who has been operating at the top of his game for the last 30 plus years. And I figured that there is definitely something to learn from this person. Of course there is. And the fact that he's giving me this piece of advice means that it is well founded. So this is based on my findings over the last 3 years, trying to come to some sense and some semblance of a work-life balance as I scale my 20 plus company, and as I continue to build different businesses, as I continue to create content, as I continue to manage teams, and as I continue to try to grow my vision for who I want to be in this world and the things that I want to create. We'll start off with number 1, which is the importance of prioritizing taking care of oneself. Taking care of oneself means putting yourself in the optimal position in all areas of your mental health, your spiritual health, your fitness health, and your financial and professional health in order to exceed in this world. You need to reverse engineer what your core goals are. If you don't know what your core goals are, you don't know what the areas that you need to take care of yourself are in. Most people, they focus on 1 or 2 areas. They may focus on their career health and their financial health, but at the detriment of all other areas of their life. They also may take easy and quick money first and delay learning in the immediate and developing their core skill sets. This is at the detriment of their future growth. Understand that what you sacrifice today for immediate gains, whether financial or career-wise, may come at the detriment of your health, of your relationships down the line. The goal is not to just be extremely wealthy and career-oriented, but sacrificing the things that truly matter, because you may not notice them today, but you will pay the price down the line. Take care of yourself. Understand that you need to take time out of your day to indulge and to take care of your fitness. Join a gym. Get on a very basic workout routine, whether if you're a beginner, get into the gym 3 times a week. I'd recommend a push, pull, leg split. Maintain a healthy and clean diet. Of course, make sure to allocate times to indulge and to engage in certain foods that you really like. Take a moment to meditate. If you're a religious person, perhaps take a moment to engage in prayer. Take a moment to connect with people that are important to you. Cultivate relationships. Go out of your way to cultivate relationships. Make sure to put forth your best foot forward with your family. Take a moment to listen to people, make connections, and ultimately understand that your career path is not the only path. You have multiple paths that you're trying to simultaneously push forward at the same time. And you need to make sure that all of those paths are being worked on, not at the detriment of other paths. How do you do this? How do you maintain and manage a great personal life, a great social life, a great career path, and how do you take care of your financial health, your fitness health? Well, it comes down to great quality time management. We all have 24 hours in the day. You see some people who are excelling in life. They are maintaining or they are pushing towards this idea of balance. But you see others that really can't get anything done at all. Those same 2 people have the same amount of hours in the day. What is the difference between them? It comes down to the allocation of your time resources. In your 24 hours, prioritize 8 hours for sleep, prioritize 8 hours for work, prioritize 8 hours for the things outside of work. That is how you split it. Make sure to effectively time block the things that you're going to do. What I like to do is I like to use a Pomodoro timer, which is working in sections of 4. So 4 sections of 25 minutes. Between these sections, I'll take a 5-minute break. And then between the 4th section and the start of a new cycle, it's a 15-minute break. Why did I do this? Do I need to do this? Probably not. But the idea that I have a structure as I go through my work and I'm able to block my time effectively gives me something to lean on. Just having a haphazard structure without any room for breaks or any room for social interactions puts a pressure on me that can ultimately be detrimental. And I can find myself, taking a break for 5 minutes, that turns into 20 minutes, that turns into 40 minutes. And that's what we don't want to happen. And we do this through Pomodoro. At the same time, you need to be able to set consistent goals for yourself, both micro and macro. What I like to do is I like to set weekly goals and I like to set quarterly goals or monthly goals. My weekly goals are going to be things that get me towards my macro goals. There's no macro goals without the micro work required. But if you don't know where you're going, if you don't set the goals necessary, whether it's your financial goals or your fitness goals, you'll find yourself aimlessly moving towards and burning the flame or burning the candle at both ends. And what we don't want to happen is for you to do the work, but because you don't know where you're going, you find yourself getting ultimately nowhere. So set concrete, achievable goals and move towards them on a time basis. Set deadlines for yourself. So many people, they'll set deadlines for others, but they won't set deadlines for themselves. They won't hold themselves up to the same standards that they hold others up to. Number 4 is to cultivate hobbies and passions. This is beyond important. You never want to come off as a 1 or 2-dimensional person. You want to have the ability to engage in a variety of different things that benefit you in all areas. Usually, I recommend hobbies that are going to push you physically, socially, and actually technically, or in a skill set that you're trying to build on. These 3 hobbies, or a hobby that can do all 3, is phenomenal. But most likely you're going to have to pick a variety of different hobbies that give you a little bit of each. A musical hobby like playing the guitar is a great way to express yourself creatively. A fitness hobby like boxing is a great way to express yourself and to push yourself in a fitness mindset. Taking a class after hours to push and to develop a certain skill set will not only expose you socially to other people that you may not have known before, but it'll also build up skill sets in you. It'll also make you a much more well-rounded person. I find through pursuing different facets of myself, whenever I sit down with anyone, I can connect with a filmmaker because I know a little bit about film. I've also done some courses on filmmaking. I can connect with a fashion designer because I happen to run a fashion design agency, though I'm not a fashion designer by trade. I can connect with someone in the fitness industry. I can connect with someone that's into cars. I can pretty much put myself in any room and have something to connect with someone about, and that puts me in a very socially strong position. This is why hobbies are fundamentally important, not only because of the time that you spend or the time that you're able to dedicate to them, but also the connections you're able to make out of them and the well-rounded person you ultimately become. Next up, it is also essential to build and maintain a support network or a friends network. Understand that friends, like anything worth having in life, require a certain amount of time and attention. You must water the grass where you wish it to grow. Negligence of anything causes that specific thing to wear away, to wither away. Take a moment to curate your friends. Take a moment to check in on your friends. Do nice things for others. Make the time to connect with people, whether it's through a dinner, whether it's through a shared activity, whether through it's a casual hangout. Take a moment out of your week to actually connect with people. We've gotten to the point where we feel like human connections are negligible. And because of COVID, because of the last couple of years where we've forced ourselves to become a lot more isolated, we've forgotten the true impact that having a strong network of individuals around us and taking care of and being cared for by others and the impact that it can have in our lives. So take a moment out of your day, connect with someone that you know, that you like, and that you actually want to have in your life long term, and appreciate them and make a moment or a chance to actually meet them this week. And believe me, the way that you engage with others says a lot about how you engage with yourself. If you have no good relationship with yourself, you cannot have a positive relationship with others. When it comes to maintaining a work-life balance, it is also important to be able to set and maintain boundaries. I'm someone who struggled with this all my life, especially because I've never known a full-time or an employed job. I've always been working for myself since the age of 20, since starting my company. Setting boundaries can be difficult because the fact of turning down or not responding to a client text within an hour or within 2 hours makes you feel guilty. It makes you feel like you're not watering the business at a time where it may need to be watered the most, where it needs to have the most amount of effort being drawn into it. And sure, there are certain periods in your life where you're going to have to go all in on a business. I had a period between 22 and 27 where all I did, not stop, no matter what, Mondays through Sundays, morning till night, sleeping in the office to try to get my business off the ground. Sure, I still work insanely hard, but I put the pieces into play to be able to have the luxury every now and then to set my boundaries and to be able to create a clear delineation between my time at work, or the time when I'm switched on in the business, and the time that I'm switched off. Sure, even the times when I'm switched off, I'm always thinking in positive and creative ways about how I can further the business, how I can grow my team better, how I can manage my team and encourage them to become better people. But I am also able to set those boundaries when I need to in order to give my time the necessary time to recharge and to rewind and to get back to action stronger than ever. Last but not least is cultivate the ability to say no. Most people look at the word no as a harsh response to a specific question. Know when to say no, whether it's something that is being asked of you or whether it is something that's being pushed back on. When you know that you need to stand firm on a specific decision and you're being pushed back on, learn to say no, learn to assert yourself. On the flip side, when someone asks something of you that you know is not the right time, or it's out of line with this time that you've spent or that you've cultivated for yourself, you can know how to say no. The more no's you say, the more abilities you have to stay on track with the things that truly matter to you, whether they're career-oriented or whether they are not career-oriented. No gives you and carves out the time necessary to pursue the things that are truly meaningful in your life. And there's a challenge with this because as you grow and as you achieve more business success and as you up your status in this world, you're going to have access and people are going to have more access to you. You're going to have more opportunities being brought your way. And though that may seem like a good thing in the first, knowing which opportunities to turn down and knowing which opportunities to go all in is going to be the make it or break it between that growth beyond the initial phase. You may push yourself to get into a significant career path at the age of 30. At the age of 30, you notice so many new opportunities are coming your way. But bear in mind, not all opportunities are equal and what they seem. Knowing what to say no to gives you the ability to go all in on the things that you want to say yes to. Guys, that's it. That is a wrap on this episode. It's been my definitive guide at the age of almost 30 on how to build a proper quote-unquote work-life balance, or whatever that may mean to you. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know in the comments below what other topics you want to see me discuss in future episodes. Guys, I always say this, but from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Shadi TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.